in our previous session, we discussed group discussion. So right now, we'll move on to meetings. All of you must have been part of some meeting or the other in course of time, right? Yes. There wouldn't be anybody who hasn't ever been part of a meeting. It could be some unofficial meeting in an unofficial setup, but still you must have been part of meetings. So what do you mean by meetings? A meeting forms a part of the various activities of an organization, and the purpose is to bring together the members of the organization. Why is that so? In order to fulfill one or more objectives. So if you look at page number 44 of your study material, I'm referring to the official study material, you could see a pictorial representation, right? It looks as if a round table conference. Very many participants are there and they have joined together in order to make a decision. Okay, very often it is done in order to fulfill one or more objectives. There could be an agenda, there could be a purpose for this meeting. One example is that if you are working, there could be staff meetings, right? As part of your organization, the organizational head may assemble everybody for a meeting. That could be a staff meeting. Similarly, if you are organizing a party or if you are organizing a festival or something, members of the association may say residents association, all these people together would conduct a meeting where they will discuss what to do, what not to do, and how to go about some issue, etc. So then that would also be a very relatable example of a meeting. So why do we say meetings are useful? What are the purposes? Let's have a look at that. During a meeting, opinions from members become necessary to decide on an issue. If there has to be a decision to be made, all the members could contribute their opinions, and based on their opinions, will come to a conclusion. Nextly, participation of members becomes important to solve a problem. If there is a problem that needs immediate attention, all the members and their participation and the input from their part will also help the committee or the meeting heads in order to solve the problem. If there happens such an issue, then the problem will be solved based on the insights given by the participants. Similarly, meetings help in explaining previous matters, and explaining previous matters becomes important before taking a decision. Likewise, the organization, if this needs to settle some conflict or problems, meetings could be held. Other circumstances include the organization's need to communicate sensitive information and the organization's need to generate new ideas. In order to communicate, some information should be communicated in person, right? So for that matter, meetings can be used. Similar is the case with generating new ideas. So what is the main difference between group discussion and meeting? Basically, a meeting has a more controlled structure than a group discussion. By control, I am referring to a structure. So there are 5 aspects or 5 components when we discuss the structure of a meeting. Firstly, it is a chairman. A chairman or the head will be present in a meeting. There will be an agenda. An agenda will be present. Then a process for making decision will be there. A well-managed discussion will be there. Then a productive physical setup is also a part of a meeting. Alright. So what do you mean by an agenda? It contains a list of or an outline of the points to be discussed in the meeting. What all should we do in a meeting? Based on the agenda, a group discussion can serve as a decision-making tool in a meeting. So if there happen an issue, then all those that must be discussed, all those witnesses that must be discussed, all such details would be enlisted in the agenda. Okay. The agenda is normally geared by one person, that is the chairman or the convener of the meeting. In a meeting, remember, it is the chairman who first takes up an issue and expresses his or her views. Alright. Then a meeting also look back at what had happened in the previous meeting by presenting the minutes. Minutes of a meeting, you must have heard of that. If there happens a meeting, then somebody will be recording the basic happenings of this meeting, and it is called minutes. So if there was a meeting last month, today if there is a meeting, what happened during last month will be analyzed with the help of the minutes of last month. And even today's meeting will also be having a minutes prepared by somebody. Is that clear? You sure? Yes, so happy to know that. So let's focus our attention towards the agenda of a meeting. As I mentioned, it is the most important component of any meeting. It gives, what is the advantage of an agenda? It gives the necessary details about the meeting, that is, at what time the meeting is taking place, where is the meeting taking place, who are the people who will be attending the meeting, what time does it start and what time does it end. All such relevant information will be enlisted in the agenda. So while preparing the agenda, we must consider the usefulness of a meeting. Hence, the agenda should be formulated with an aim to 1. Giving depth to decisions, preventing mistakes, evolving diverse thinking, and encouraging the attendees in decision making. So when you prepare an agenda, you need to consider all these aspects. Preparing for a meeting. While you are going to attend a meeting, you need to do some preparation. What are these? You need to carefully read the notice. If there is a notice or an invitation, you need to read and understand the purpose of the meeting. And then you decide what kind of preparation is required. Okay, you can prepare any relevant information or material that may be necessary for the meeting. You need to prepare answers to any questions that must be asked to you. If you will be facing some questions probably, then you need to be aware of the answers. Then you need to prepare a list of points that must be covered. And if there are questions that you wish to ask, you need to prepare a list of questions that you wanted to ask. So this is how you ideally prepare for a meeting. You should be aware of all these points. Okay, points to keep in mind while preparing for a meeting. Now, let's have a look at the role of the participants and what they should or shouldn't do while attending a meeting. Shall we? Firstly, etiquette while attending meetings. Dear learners, be aware of this term etiquette. It is a key term. You need to write that. Okay. What does etiquette mean? It means the ways in which you must be behaving. There are eating etiquettes. Okay. There are internet etiquettes. Similarly, the ways in which you are expected to behave while attending meeting. First and foremost aspect, never be late for any meeting. Okay, suppose if the meeting has already begun and you come late, then again the chairman will have to brief you on what all had happened, and that would disrupt the meeting. Moreover, that would also show a level of disrespect, a sign of disrespect towards the chairman and also towards other members of the meeting. The second aspect, prepare well for the meeting. We already looked at how to prepare. Need to have self-preparation. Go through the agenda carefully and think about the issues to be discussed. Are there questions that you need to ask? Will there be questions addressed to you? If so, you need to be prepared. Alright? Another important point, the third point, you need to be a good listener. It is very important to be a good listener in order to respond to the views of the other participants. Then again, make sure that there are speakers from other backgrounds, different age, race, cultural backgrounds, appearance or gender differences might be there, but you need to be open-minded in order to accommodate the ideas of everybody. The most important aspect is to maintain eye contact. Remember, non-verbal communication, we studied that as part of block 1. Yes, eye contact is very much necessary. And the fourth point is try not to interrupt. When somebody is speaking, let them speak. Let the speaker finish what he or she has to say. Alright? Meanwhile, even if you disagree with her views, you can make note of that and vocalize them. I mean verbalize them or speak that out later. Alright? Yes. The fifth point is to follow the agenda. Whatever is written in the agenda or the list, you need to stick on to the time and adapt to the agenda effectively. Okay. The sixth point is to participate actively. Active participation is mandatory. That is, you need to speak courteously and cooperatively with others. Okay, do not just talk for the sake of talking. Some people believe that, oh, I should speak something and then they speak and then remain silent. That is not how you should be participating. Okay, you should be cooperative, understanding and open-minded. Now, since I said you need to speak up, that doesn't mean you need to speak up for the whole time. You need to take turns while speaking. That is, don't monopolize the meeting. Speak as briefly and as coherently as possible. Okay, listen and speak. The eighth point is to resolve conflict. If there are any problems in decision making, be a facilitator and a mediator and try to solve the issue. Alright. The ninth point, pay attention to non-verbal communication. What do you mean by non-verbal communication? It refers to signs, symbols, body, yes, gestures, expressions, yes. Even silence can be part of non-verbal communication. Then eye contact, posture, all these are non-verbal communication. For example, people may be nodding their heads while listening, but their facial expression otherwise. So, even if the person is nodding, from the facial expression you will be able to understand that this person is not able to accept a particular opinion or to follow a particular point. So, if you notice that, try to resolve them. Then, the last point, the most important point, is to maintain the meeting decorum. That is, you need to maintain a particular discipline. One of the most important aspects is to switch off your mobile phone or to put your mobile phone in the silent mode as much as possible. Try to maintain order and discipline in the meeting. It is also important to follow up with actions after the meeting. Yes, that is very important. You just don't have to leave the meeting after it's over, but you just have to follow what has to be done as a follow-up. You need to do what all has to be done. A brief memorandum of conclusion should be written and distributed. Yes. Finally, each meeting should be viewed as if a learning experience. You should have your own takeaway from each and every meeting that you attend. So these are the basics that you need to know with respect to meetings. Now, your text also provides you useful statements or phrases which are generally used during a discussion in a meeting. For example, phrases for disagreement. If Ashwati has made a statement and Jyoti Prakash doesn't feel like agreeing to it, he can say, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. Or else he can say, I understand what you are saying, but, and then add on to what you say. Other ways of saying can include, I'm sorry, I can't agree with you. I'm not sure if I agree with you, etc. Similarly, there are phrases for clarification. We discussed similar aspects when we discussed group discussion, right? Yeah, it's more or less the same. Phrases for clarification include, what exactly do you mean by? Could you be more specific about? Are you saying that? And then you complete the sentence. Are you able to follow me? Yes, good. Suppose Shruti is making a statement and then Tansya came in order to end of her statement. Then Shruti can say, sorry, would you please allow me to complete my statement? Or else you can say, may I finish first before you put in your statement, or something like that. Okay. Then referring to other speaker. If Shrija wants to refer to Shruti while she is speaking, she can say that, as Shruti has already discussed, I feel like, and then you can say. Or else if I say, I'm sure Miss Mritula has agreed on this, or something like that. See, the way in which you incorporate another person, another speaker in your speech. Okay, this is what is important. Diplomatic phrases. These are always very crucial and of great help. You can speak diplomatically. I think there may be a problem with that. There seems to be a small problem. You're speaking out something without hurting anybody else, right? Yes. Actually, that's not going to be an easy task. Alright, all these are examples. Now, phrases for making and responding to suggestions. Perhaps you could, why don't you, what about? That's a good idea. That could be worth trying. What a great idea. Things like that. Now comes the different stages of a meeting. Okay, these can be summarized by the acronym. What do you mean by acronym? The first word, the first letter, when we put them together, that would form an acronym, right? Yes, DESC. Firstly, describe the situation, express feelings or opinions, suggest solutions, and finally conclude with a decision. DESC. While attending a meeting, firstly you describe the situation, thereafter you express your feelings or opinion, later you suggest solutions, and finally you conclude with a decision. That is how a meeting ends. So if you look at your study material, on page number 53, you see some suitable topics for group discussion. Have a look at those topics. There is a probability of these appearing in your exam paper. Apart from this, refer to the previous question papers. I personally have uploaded my analysis on the previous papers. Anybody who is interested may refer to that, because it is always important to refer to previous papers, because that would help you understand how questions are put forth and how the pattern is structured and what are the important questions, etc. That rather than referring to third party sources, you yourself can refer to the question paper. You yourself can analyze, right? Yes. For that matter, let me remind you that from this particular section that we studied, there could be theory questions, and apart from the theory question, there could be a question on group discussion, to write a group discussion. Alright, so I hope I have made everything clear so far. Were you able to follow me? With respect to what we studied, there wouldn't be questions based on vocabulary suggestions. Okay, only the theory part will be asked for the examination. Anyway, I thought of, explaining all the aspects in class so that you will be aware of it and you can make use of those in course of time. So thank you so much for joining me today. We'll meet again soon. Till then, take care and thanks for joining.